It has been a long time coming, but the moment has almost arrived. Chris Johnston, the Habs versus the Leafs, game one. And on the eve of game one, it's understandable if Leaf fans might be a little bit nervous. Yes, on paper they are the favorites, but we all know about their past playoff failures. Why, though, do the Leafs feel this year specifically they are more suited to go on a deep run?
Well, they got three, four of the best offensive players in the series. I think that that's probably where a lot of the confidence comes from, Sean. And look, when you lose as many playoff series in a row as the Leafs have, I think some narratives build up. But let's call it as it is. The reason Toronto went down in 5 games to Columbus in the bubble is they didn't score enough in that series. They it might have been some puck luck. I think it was around 2% was their shooting percentage for that series at 5-on-5. But they're coming off a year now where you have Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, both in the top five in league scoring. John Tavares and William Nylander on their second line both finished the year strong. And I think ultimately the Leafs are in a position. It played out the regular season where they should be able to cash in using those players, and they have the elite guys, and I do think that some of the experience of the past, these guys have grown up, and that's what gives the Leafs the most confidence for this series.
The Habs are coming off what can only be described as a successful playoff run in the bubble, and they did it as the underdog. They're the underdog once again here, at least on paper, like I mentioned. Are they a team that seems to really lean into that underdog role and enjoy it?
Well, they've been forced to in this case because they are the underdog. I mean, I think that what's unique about this playoffs is the teams have all played each other a whole bunch. This isn't something we're inventing. There's enough in the 10 games that Toronto played against Montreal for Montreal to be the underdog. I think that's where a guy like Brendan Gallagher, though, comes in because, he did miss the last 6 weeks of the season. He only ended up playing in 4 of the 10 meetings between Toronto and Montreal this year. And so, you hope that he can bring a level of experience, a level of getting under the skin of Toronto, maybe disrupting some of those top players, disrupting Toronto's goaltender, whether that's Jack Campbell or maybe Frederik Andersen later in the series. And so, that's where you start to build up that narrative. But, it did work for them in the bubble. We've seen this organization do it in the past, and that's kind of the recipe if you're Montreal, is you got to be a little bit of a deterrent or a pain in the butt.
And the Habs have made it very clear they want to play a physical brand of hockey against the Leafs. Can the Habs intimidate the Maple Leafs physically?
I don't really think they can. I mean, that's not to say they're not going to take a bite out of them. You look at the way their blue line's built. Shea Weber, Ben Sherratt, Joel Edmondson. You have guys like Josh Anderson up front, Gallagher, Corey Perry even down their lineup. I mean, they certainly have players that are going to finish checks. But the Leafs, this is probably where they've made the biggest changes since last year, is just some of the experience they've added. But, also Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian, all of whom are going to play in game one. I think that those players give the Leafs some advantage. And we even saw guys like Austin Matthews this year in the meeting with the Habs, Sean, give it back a little bit. He's not probably going to seek out hits the way some of the other players are, but I don't think the Leafs are going to back down physically, and that's going to make it a highly entertaining series.
Well, Chris, we've had to wait for a handful of days to get this series going, but